At my baby party, Mill got really angry and said mean things to me. She even tried to pick a name for my baby, but then she caused a big problem and the police had to take her away. I'm 29 years old and married to my amazing husband, Gary. Right now, I'm pregnant with our first baby, which is really exciting. Gary and I have been together for a long time. We got married 4 years ago. We've been trying to have a baby for a while, and we were really happy when we found out I was pregnant 6 months ago. We've been through a lot together, but we always stick together. The news of our baby coming soon has made us really happy. Every day gets us closer to meeting our little one, and we're so excited. Being pregnant has been a mix of emotions for me, from the excitement of finding out to those sweet times when you feel the baby moving in your belly. Gary has been amazing through it all. He's come to every doctor's appointment. We've read parenting books together, and he's helping decorate the nursery for our baby. We're fully focused on getting ready for the baby now, talking about names, decorating the nursery, and making plans for the future. Gary can't wait to be a dad, and it makes me really happy. He's fully involved, helping out with everything we need to do before the baby arrives. We're facing the ups and downs of pregnancy together, enjoying every moment as we prepare to meet our little one. 2 months ago, we decided it was time to tell our family the exciting news about my pregnancy. We waited until after the first 3 months of pregnancy had passed, and we were sure everything was okay before telling them. We invited our parents, close family, and friends over for lunch. When they saw my growing belly, their faces lit up with happiness and surprise. My mom started crying tears of joy when she saw me and confirmed that I was pregnant. She understood why we waited to tell everyone and was thrilled to become a grandmother soon. But Gary's mom, Barbara, had a different reaction altogether. Instead of being happy about the news, she got really mad when she found out we hadn't told her about the pregnancy earlier. She felt left out and blamed me for not including her on purpose. Even when I tried to explain why we waited, she stayed angry and didn't want to talk to me anymore. Her unhappiness made the family gathering less joyful. During the night, she didn't talk to me at all. She also showed disrespect to my mom, who had always been nice to her before. While everyone else was chatting, Barbara just stared at her phone, clearly upset. She told everyone how she didn't know I was pregnant, and she felt like she missed out on time with her grandchild even before they were born. My husband and one of his brothers noticed how upset she was. As things got more tense, I felt like I couldn't take it anymore, so I went outside to calm down for a bit. My mom noticed I was upset and came to comfort me until I felt better and went back inside. When it was time for Barbara to leave, she made sure to say goodbye to me last. But she barely said more than a quick hi and bye. Later, when my husband walked them to their car, they ended up having a big argument, and I could hear it from inside. Barbara used the chance to complain about me, making things even more awkward. Luckily, everyone else had left by then, so it was just me, my parents, Gary, and his parents. Barbara was really mad and told my husband she couldn't believe I hadn't told her about the pregnancy sooner. My husband calmly explained that we waited until we knew everything was okay before telling anyone. The Barbara started yelling after hearing this. It was a difficult conversation. Barbara: I should have known about our grandchild right from the start. Gary, Mom, it wasn't about who deserves to know. We both decided together. She just wanted to be careful. Barbara: Careful? I'm her mother-in-law. She should have trusted me. It's all her fault. At this point, my husband got really mad. He had been holding back, but when his mom kept blaming me, he got angry. He told her firmly that it wasn't just my decision, it was ours. He said if she was blaming me, she should blame him too. He told her to stop overreacting and get over it. Barbara said he should see things clearly and not let me control everything. She said as his mom, she should have known first about her grandchild. But my husband didn't back down. He told her to stop attacking me and said he loved her, but she needed to leave and calm down before she said something she'd regret. As Barbara walked away, my husband looked frustrated and disappointed. I didn't realize tears were running down my face. Her words hurt me a lot. Gary noticed I was upset and quickly comforted me, leading me back inside. My parents stayed back, sensing the tension until I felt better. Barbara didn't stop there. Later that night, I got a message from her, and I felt really anxious about what it would say. Her message said, "I'm really disappointed in you. You purposely kept important news from me, and I can't forgive that. I can't believe you didn't tell me about my grandchild right away. This isn't how a family should be, and it hurts me. Instead of saying sorry for what you did, you're causing problems between me and my son. Shame on you." Her message made me feel really upset and angry. I showed it to Gary, and he was furious. He couldn't understand why his mom was being so mean and blaming me. Gary decided to call her and tell her not to send such mean messages because it made me feel worse. He even said he'd stop talking to her if she kept acting this way. Barbara seemed to listen to Gary's serious words. She changed her tone when faced with the idea of being cut off. Instead of admitting she was wrong, she suggested a solution. She said she'd forgive us if we let her throw us a baby shower. We were surprised by this sudden change and wondered why she was being so nice all of a sudden. She kept saying how happy it would make her to plan a big party for me and our baby, taking care of everything. Gary looked at me wondering what to do, but I wasn't sure if Barbara's sudden change was genuine or just a way for her to control the situation. Even though I wasn't sure about it, Gary, always trying to keep things peaceful, thought we should consider his mom's offer. I told Gary I was worried that accepting her offer might make her think her behavior was okay. Gary understood what I meant, but he hoped that letting his mom plan the baby shower could help fix things and make our family happier before the baby came. I didn't really like the idea, but I agreed to it because Gary thought it might help. He told his mom she could plan the baby shower. She was really happy and thanked us for letting her do it. But I thought she would ask me about what I wanted for the baby shower too. The baby shower was still a month away, and I expected we'd work out all the details together. But I was disappointed to find out that my mother-in-law had taken charge without asking anyone, not even me. She bought decorations, picked games, and planned everything on her own. When my mom tried to talk to her about the baby shower, my mother-in-law said it was all set and would be a surprise for me. I felt really sad and frustrated because the event meant to celebrate me was being planned without thinking about what I wanted. On the day of my baby shower, there was a mix of excitement and nervousness in the air. I got to the banquet hall with my close friends, who were excited to celebrate the baby. When I walked in, I saw the decorations my mother-in-law picked out. There were lots of brown and beige balloons everywhere, like a safari theme gone wrong. I really didn't like it. The atmosphere I imagined was lively and colorful, but this felt dull. Things got even weirder when I saw a big banner near the entrance. It had a bunch of pictures of my husband when he was a baby with his mom, Barbara. Everyone was confused about why those pictures were there at my baby shower. I looked at her with confusion, and she just laughed and said she thought our baby would look exactly like my husband. She thought he was so cute as a baby and wanted to show everyone. I stared at her, wondering if she was serious. It seemed like she cared more about her memories as a mom than celebrating our new family member. As more people came, they looked confused or uncomfortable. The decorations and the big banner with my husband and his mom made the room feel awkward. It wasn't the happy and pretty baby shower I had imagined. I looked at some of my friends, and we silently shared our feelings of apology for what was happening. When my mom came in, she was shocked by the terrible decorations. She saw the big banner too, and I could tell she couldn't believe it. Instead of celebrating our baby, it seemed like it was all about my husband's childhood. My mom didn't say anything. She just walked over to the banner and took it down, showing she was determined to make things right. The room got quiet, and everyone looked at my mom as she took down the big banner that was taking over the celebration. I felt really thankful for my mom's support. My mother-in-law, who was talking to other guests, looked shocked when she saw my mom throwing the banner in the trash. She asked angrily, "What are you doing?" That banner was supposed to celebrate the baby and our family. But my mom stayed calm and said, "This party is about my daughter and her baby, not about showing off your achievements." Everyone around them stopped to watch this unexpected argument. My mother-in-law tried to take back control by saying, "I just wanted everyone to know I helped plan this party." She argued back, saying she just wanted to show how cute Gary was as a kid. But my mom didn't give in. She reminded Barbara that she begged to throw the baby shower after what happened last time. "This is about my daughter and her baby, not about you trying to take over," my mom said firmly. Everyone got quiet as they watched them argue. Barbara realized she wasn't getting her way and went back to talking to other guests with a fake smile. After the argument, the baby shower went on, and I tried to stay positive for my friends and family, even though there was still tension in the air. I didn't think there would be any more surprises from my mother-in-law, but she seemed to be drinking a lot for a baby shower. I couldn't really say anything to her about it though. We played some games, and slowly, everyone started to have fun. Then it was time to open gifts. I was happy with all the thoughtful presents for my baby, but then my mother-in-law gave me a really big gift box with a huge smile. The room got quiet, and I felt embarrassed and frustrated. My mom looked mad, and the guests didn't know what to do with this unexpected moment. Trying to keep things calm, I forced a smile and thanked her for the gift, even though I wanted to roll my eyes. But things got worse when it was time to cut the cake. My mother-in-law got a huge fancy cake with lots of decorations. She made a big deal out of it, making everyone look at her. I was getting annoyed, wondering what she was doing now. We all waited for her to talk. Then she said she had the perfect name for our baby girl. I felt stuck when she said that, remembering we hadn't even decided on a name yet. She proudly said the baby should be named after her great-grandmother, with a name that sounded really old-fashioned. I was surprised and a bit annoyed that she thought she could choose the name. I tried to be nice, saying my husband and I wanted to pick the name together. But she wouldn't listen. She said she had the perfect name and that I should accept it, especially since she spent a lot of money on the baby shower. I was really surprised by her attitude. I told her firmly that only my husband and I could choose our baby's name, no matter who threw the baby shower. But then she started yelling at me in front of everyone. She said I was being disrespectful and should be thankful for what she did. She even insulted my upbringing, saying I should be thanking her instead of deciding the baby's name myself. Barbara got more and more aggressive, pointing at my face. My mom stepped in front of me to protect me. Barbara kept yelling, saying she was the real mommy of my baby because she gave birth to my husband and he's the one who made me pregnant. Her words were really hurtful. Even though my mom tried to stop her, she didn't listen. She just kept insulting me and my mom. It was clear she had too much to drink, and talking to her didn't help. The whole situation was really uncomfortable for everyone. Realizing things were getting worse, I decided I couldn't take any more embarrassment. I wanted to leave with the gifts my friends gave me, but Barbara grabbed them from me and threw them on the ground. She said I was ungrateful and causing problems between her and her son. More people started paying attention to what was happening, and some even started filming. I asked one of my friends to ask everyone to leave politely, hoping to stop the chaos. But Barbara kept yelling at me, making a scene that nobody expected at what was supposed to be a happy party. I got really mad and decided to call the police to get Barbara away from me because I felt unsafe. Can you believe it? I had to involve the police at my own baby shower because of my difficult mother-in-law. When the police came, Barbara acted like she was the victim and blamed me for everything. Luckily, the police understood the situation and tried to talk to her. But because she was drunk, Barbara didn't listen and even yelled at the police. Things got so bad that they had to arrest her right there. I left with my mom and close friends, feeling really shaken up by what happened. Since then, my husband and I have been dealing with the aftermath. Barbara is trying to make us feel guilty and get sympathy from family members who weren't there. My husband thinks I went too far by calling the police. He thinks I should have called him or his dad for help instead. So Reddit, do you think I was wrong for calling the police on Barbara for ruining my baby shower and pretending to be the baby's real mom? Update 1. I want to thank everyone for their support after I shared my story about calling the police at my baby shower. I've never seen my mother-in-law act so aggressively before. Usually, I only see her during holidays, so I never spent much time with her. Her behavior at the baby shower made me worried she might hurt me, especially with my baby on the way. Since then, all the guests from the baby shower have reached out to support me. Some even send videos of what happened, which I plan to show my husband. I'm going to talk to him seriously about what to do about his mom this weekend. Update 2. I showed the videos to my husband. We sat down and had a serious talk about what happened. I explained how his mom's behavior got worse from when she found out about the pregnancy to the baby shower. I told him about the yelling, accusations, and strange gifts. Then I showed him the videos and he looked shocked. Seeing what happened made him realize how serious it was. He apologized to me for not realizing how bad it was and agreed that calling the police was the right thing to do. I had no idea it was this bad. I'm really sorry you had to deal with all of that, he said, looking regretful and frustrated. He said he never thought his mom could act this badly because it didn't seem like her at all. He told me he was on my side and that my safety, especially during pregnancy, was really important to him. We talked about why his mom acted this way and how she always needed to be in control. Gary admitted he was worried about her behavior and agreed she went too far. I told him I didn't want anything to do with her after what happened at the baby shower. I said he could still talk to her if he wanted, but me and our baby wouldn't be around her until she got help for her behavior. Gary agreed, saying what his mom did was really wrong, and he was ready to cut ties with her too. I told him he didn't have to cut ties with his mom, but he said she disrespected me, so she shouldn't be part of our lives anymore. He knew her behavior wasn't just about the baby shower, but also about other problems. Gary promised to talk to his mom himself and tell her we didn't want her in our lives anymore. I asked him to warn her that if she showed up uninvited and tried to force me to accept her back, I would call the police again. Update 3. It's been a month since I last updated you all. Me and the baby are doing fine. I'm really excited to meet my child soon. Since my last update, we haven't been talking to Barbara. Gary talked to his parents, and his dad promised to talk to Barbara and make sure she respects our decision. Cutting ties with Barbara has changed our lives a lot. Without her drama and negativity, our home feels more peaceful. Now, Gary and I can focus on getting ready for the baby without worrying about Barbara causing trouble. Our friends and family have been really supportive during this tough time. My parents and close friends have been there for us, giving us strength and understanding. Even family members who didn't know how bad Barbara's behavior was have shown support after seeing the videos from the baby shower. Our journey isn't over, but this experience has made us stronger and showed us the importance of facing problems together. Cutting ties with Barbara wasn't an easy decision, but it was necessary for our happiness. There might still be challenges, but we're hopeful about the good things this decision brings. As we wait for our baby, we're focused on creating a loving and supportive family for us and our child.
It was a crisp autumn day when fate led me to the man who would change my life forever. I remember walking into a local coffee shop seeking refuge from the chilly breeze, and that's when I saw him. His warm smile and twinkling eyes caught my attention immediately. I ordered my usual latte and mustered the courage to strike up a conversation. "Hi there," I said with a smile, taking a seat at the table next to his. "Is this seat taken?" He looked up from his book and a friendly grin spread across his face. "No, not at all. Please have a seat." I introduced myself as Emma, and he introduced himself as Ryan. Our conversation flowed effortlessly, as if we had known each other for years. We talked about books, movies, and our favorite travel destinations. Time seemed to fly by, and I found myself hoping that he felt the same connection I did. As the sun dipped below the horizon, signaling the end of the day, I reluctantly said, "Well, I should probably get going. It was really nice talking to you, Ryan." He smiled warmly and replied, "It was my pleasure, Emma. I hope to see you around again." We exchanged numbers, and from that day on, we began texting constantly. Our connection grew deeper, and we started spending more time together. It wasn't long before we realized that we had fallen in love. One evening, as we walked hand in hand through a park adorned with colorful autumn leaves, Ryan stopped and turned towards me, his eyes sparkling with affection. "Emma," he said softly, "I can't imagine my life without you. You've become my best friend and so much more. Will you be mine, officially?" I felt my heart swell with joy as I replied, "Yes, Ryan, with all my heart. I want to be yours." And just like that, our love story began. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks turned into months. We shared laughter, tears, and everything in between. We navigated through life's ups and downs, supporting and encouraging each other every step of the way. One evening, while cuddled up on the couch, Ryan looked at me with a mischievous grin. "You know what, Emma? I think I'm falling for you more and more every day." I couldn't help but chuckle, feeling the same way. "Well, you better be, mister, because I'm head over heels for you." And so our love story unfolded, blossoming like the seasons around us. Ryan became not just my partner, but my confidant, my rock, and my biggest supporter. We talked about our dreams and aspirations, and it became clear that we wanted to build a life together. Little did I know then that this love story would bring challenges we never expected. But for now, in this moment, everything was perfect. Our hearts were entwined, and the future was full of promise. As the months passed, Ryan and I grew inseparable. Our love only deepened, and it wasn't long before we knew that we wanted to take the next step in our relationship. One evening, sitting under a starlit sky, Ryan looked into my eyes with unwavering sincerity. "Emma, you are the love of my life," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "I want to spend the rest of my days making you happy. Will you marry me?" Tears of joy welled up in my eyes as I nodded, unable to find the right words. "Yes, Ryan. Yes, of course, I'll marry you." And so our plans for a dream wedding began. We wanted a celebration that truly reflected who we were as a couple, filled with love, laughter, and all our loved ones. It was a labor of love, with Ryan and me both involved in every little detail. We picked a picturesque garden venue with blooming flowers and lush greenery as the backdrop for our special day. As the sun rose on the morning of our wedding, excitement and nerves filled the air. I remember the tender moments shared with my bridesmaids, the reassuring words from my parents, and the anticipation building with every passing minute. But as I walked down the aisle, all my worries vanished the moment I locked eyes with Ryan. He stood there, looking dashing in his tailored suit, and his eyes held so much love and adoration. When our gazes met, everything around us seemed to blur, and it was as if there was only the two of us in that entire world. The ceremony was filled with laughter and happy tears as we exchanged our heartfelt vows. Our friends and family cheered as we sealed our love with a kiss. It was a day of pure joy, and the happiness in our hearts was infectious. After the wedding, we embarked on our honeymoon, creating unforgettable memories in exotic destinations. When we returned home, it was time to start a new chapter in our lives together. With the savings we had diligently put aside, we began searching for our dream house. We wanted a place where we could build a future together and create a home filled with love and laughter. It wasn't easy finding the perfect home, but one day, we stumbled upon a charming little house that instantly stole our hearts. As we stood in front of the house, hand in hand, Ryan grinned at me. "Emma, this is it. This is our home." I couldn't agree more. "It's perfect," I said, my heart brimming with excitement. I can already see us living here, starting a family, and growing old together. And so, we bought the house, turning it into our sanctuary. We spent hours decorating and making it our own, filling it with the warmth of our love. It was a place where we could be ourselves, where we could create beautiful memories together. Life was filled with laughter and love in our new home. But as with any journey, there were challenges that lay ahead. Little did we know that the true test of our love and strength would come when life took an unexpected turn. But for now, in this chapter of our love story, all was perfect, and our future was bright with hope. In the first few months of our married life, Ryan and I reveled in the bliss of our love. We woke up each day with smiles on our faces, cherishing every moment spent together in our cozy dream house. But gradually, I began to notice changes in Ryan's behavior. He struggled to find a job in his chosen field, and the frustration weighed heavily on him. As the days turned into weeks, he became withdrawn, spending more time alone and less time with me. The burden of financial responsibility fell entirely on my shoulders, and though I never complained, it added pressure to our relationship. One evening, I returned home from work to find Ryan sitting on the couch, a half-empty bottle of whiskey beside him. Concern filled me as I sat down next to him. "Ryan, what's going on?" I asked gently, trying to reach out to him. He sighed heavily, avoiding eye contact. "I can't find a job, Emma. I feel like a failure, and I'm drowning in my own disappointment." I took his hand in mine, offering comfort. "Ryan, it's okay. We're in this together, remember? We'll find a way, and things will get better." But as time went on, Ryan's reliance on alcohol increased. He started coming home late, often intoxicated, and our once tender conversations turned into heated arguments. It was heart-wrenching to see the man I loved spiraling into darkness, but I refused to give up on him. One night, after yet another disagreement, I sat on the edge of our bed, tears streaming down my cheeks. I knew I had to confront him about the destructive path he was on. "Ryan, we can't keep going on like this," I said, my voice trembling with emotion. "Your drinking is tearing us apart, and I'm scared of losing you." He looked at me, his eyes clouded with guilt. "I know, Emma. I'm so sorry for what I've put you through. I never wanted this for us." In that moment, I realized that Ryan's struggles were deeper than just finding a job. He was battling his own demons, and I vowed to be there for him, supporting him through the darkness. But as time went on, the alcohol began to change him. He started taking out his frustrations on me, blaming me for everything that went wrong. My heart ached as the man I fell in love with seemed to fade away, replaced by someone I didn't recognize. One day, after another drunken argument, I made a decision. I couldn't let this destructive behavior harm both of us any longer. I knew I had to protect myself and our future. In a quiet moment while Ryan was out, I purchased a small safe and hid away a substantial portion of my savings, fearing that his actions might drive us to financial ruin. It was a difficult decision to keep it a secret from him, but I hoped it could be our lifeline if things took a turn for the worse. As I locked the safe, I whispered to myself, "I love you, Ryan, but I need to protect us both." Little did I know that this decision would set the stage for an unexpected turn of events, one that would test the strength of our love and my resolve to fight for our happiness. As the storm clouds gathered, I held on tight, hoping for brighter days ahead. As days turned into weeks, the burden of Ryan's drinking and unemployment weighed heavily on my heart. I felt torn between wanting to help him and protect our future together. With each passing day, I found myself becoming more anxious, wondering if there was a way to shield us from the storm that was threatening to break us apart. One afternoon, while Ryan was out with friends, I decided to take matters into my own hands. I knew I had to secure our future, even if it meant keeping a secret from him for now. With determination in my heart, I went to a nearby store and purchased a sturdy combination, locked safe. As I set it up in our bedroom closet, my hands trembled with a mix of guilt and fear. I took a deep breath, reminding myself that my intentions were rooted in love and protection. Carefully, I placed my savings of $300,000 into the safe, hiding it behind some clothes to keep it discreet. With a sigh of relief, I locked the safe and whispered to myself, "I hope I never have to use this, but it's there for our future, Ryan." Days turned into weeks, and I maintained the charade of a normal life while secretly guarding our financial security. Ryan's behavior continued to worsen, and it became apparent that he was on a self-destructive path. No matter how hard I tried to talk to him, he pushed me away, shutting me out of his struggles. One evening, after yet another heated argument, Ryan stormed out of the house, leaving me feeling helpless and alone. I knew I couldn't force him to change, but I refused to let his actions consume both of us. So I threw myself into my work, pouring my energy into my job and trying to distract myself from the pain. During one particularly tough week, my parents invited me to spend a couple of days with them in another city. It was a much-needed break, and I accepted gratefully, hoping that some time away might clear my mind and offer me a fresh perspective on our situation. As I arrived at my parents' house, I felt a sense of comfort and safety wash over me. Being with them reminded me of the love and stability that I craved in my own life. We spent hours talking, laughing, and reminiscing about old times. For those 2 days, I managed to find solace in their presence. However, when I returned home, my heart sank. Ryan was nowhere to be found, and the apartment felt empty and cold. Panic washed over me, and I rushed around the house, searching for any sign of him. But all I found was an eerily silent space, devoid of his belongings. Desperate to make sense of the situation, I checked the safe. To my horror, my savings were gone, and it became painfully clear that Ryan had taken it with him. The weight of betrayal crushed me, and I collapsed onto the couch, tears streaming down my face. In that moment, I knew I had to confront the reality of our situation and find the strength to protect myself. It was time to face the truth, and I felt a fire ignite within me, one that would fuel my resolve to take control of my life and ensure that justice was served. The discovery of the empty safe left me feeling utterly betrayed and shattered. I couldn't believe that Ryan had taken my hard-earned savings and disappeared without a word. The man I loved had turned into a stranger, and the home we had built together now felt like a prison of painful memories. I tried calling him repeatedly, hoping he would pick up and give me some explanation for his actions, but my calls went unanswered. As the hours turned into days, my worry turned into anger. How could he do this to me? How could he steal from me and abandon our life together? I couldn't bear to stay in that empty apartment any longer. So I went to stay with a close friend, needing some time and space to gather my thoughts. My emotions were a roller coaster swinging from heartache to fury, but amidst it all, I knew I had to take control of the situation. One day, I received a letter from Ryan, and with shaking hands, I opened it. Inside was a completed divorce petition filled out in his name. It was as if he had planned to leave all along, leaving me with nothing but unanswered questions. Fueled by a mix of hurt and anger, I reached a breaking point. I couldn't let him continue to dictate my life and emotions. I needed to stand up for myself and protect what was rightfully mine. I called my attorney and began the process of filing for divorce and seeking justice for the stolen money. At the lawyer's office, I was met with sympathetic eyes as I recounted the events that led to this devastating point in my life. I never thought he could do something like this, I said, my voice shaky but determined. I loved him, and I trusted him. The attorney nodded understandingly. It's not easy to face betrayal, Emma, but we'll do everything we can to get justice for you. As the legal proceedings began, I focused on rebuilding my life and finding the strength to move forward. My friend offered me unwavering support, reminding me that I deserved better than a life filled with lies and deceit. Weeks passed, and as I tried to heal from the wounds Ryan had inflicted, a new sense of clarity emerged. I realized that I didn't need him to be happy, and I certainly didn't need his toxic presence in my life. I had worked hard to achieve what I had, and no one had the right to take it away from me. One day, while sitting in my friend's living room, I received a call from an unknown number. With a hesitant breath, I answered, only to hear Ryan's voice on the other end. Emma, I'm so sorry, he pleaded, his voice tinged with regret. I messed up and I don't know what to do. Can we talk? I took a deep breath, trying to keep my emotions in check. Ryan, you made your choices, and I have to deal with the consequences. I won't let you hurt me again. His voice cracked. Please, Emma, I have nothing left. I've hit rock bottom and I need help. I paused, torn between compassion and self-preservation. Ryan, I can't fix you. You need to take responsibility for your actions and find a way to change. As I hung up the phone, a weight lifted from my shoulders. I knew I had made the right decision to protect myself and walk away from the toxicity. The road ahead might be difficult, but I was determined to stand tall and reclaim my life free from the shadows of betrayal and broken dreams. With the divorce proceedings underway and my determination to rebuild my life, I embraced the idea of taking control of my own destiny. It was time to find my strength and create a future that was entirely mine. I focused on my career, throwing myself into my work with renewed vigor. The distraction offered some solace from the pain, and with each achievement, I felt a glimmer of hope that I could overcome this ordeal. One evening, while I was working late at the office, my friend and colleague Sarah approached me with a concerned expression. Emma, are you okay? She asked gently, placing a comforting hand on my shoulder. I sighed, feeling a mix of emotions swirling within me. I'm trying, Sarah. It's just so hard to wrap my head around everything that happened. She nodded understandingly. I can't even imagine what you're going through. But remember, you're not alone. We're here for you. Her support meant the world to me, and it reminded me that I had a strong support system around me. I wasn't alone in this battle, and that knowledge gave me the courage to keep moving forward. As the divorce process continued, Ryan reached out to me several times, seeking forgiveness and reconciliation. But I knew that allowing him back into my life would only lead to more pain. I needed to stand firm in my decision to protect myself. One day, when I received another call from him, I mustered up the strength to speak my truth. "Ryan, I can't keep going in circles with you," I said, my voice firm. "You made your choices and I made mine. I can't let you hurt me again." He let out a heavy sigh. "I wish things could have been different. I regret what I did." "I hope you find the help you need, Ryan," I replied, trying to remain composed. "But I can't be a part of your life anymore. It's time for us to move on." Ending the call, I felt a mix of sadness and relief. It was time to close that chapter and focus on my own healing and growth. The court date for the divorce finally arrived, and as I sat in the courtroom, my heart raced with nervous anticipation. My attorney presented the evidence of the stolen money, and I felt a sense of justice finally prevailing. The judge listened carefully to both sides of the story before delivering the verdict. "Mr. Thompson, you are hereby ordered to pay Ms. Stevens $500,000 as compensation for the stolen funds." I felt a mix of emotions wash over me: relief, validation, and a sense of closure. Justice had been served, and I could finally put this painful chapter behind me. With the settlement, I decided to invest in myself and my future. I used part of the funds to take a well-deserved vacation, giving myself time to heal and reflect. The rest I put towards building my dream business, a venture I had always wanted to pursue. As I delved into my new business venture, I found a renewed sense of purpose and fulfillment. I surrounded myself with positive influences and worked tirelessly to achieve my goals. I realized that taking control of my life also meant taking care of myself and choosing a path that brought me joy. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. The pain of betrayal gradually faded, replaced by a newfound sense of empowerment. I had weathered the storm, and in doing so, I discovered the strength and resilience that lay within me. As the sun set on this difficult chapter of my life, I looked forward to the dawn of a new beginning, one where I could shape my own destiny, free from the shadows of the past. It was time to embrace life on my own terms and find happiness in the journey ahead. With the settlement from the court, I finally felt a sense of closure. Justice had been served, and I knew that I could move forward with my life without carrying the burden of betrayal. The money was important, not just as compensation, but as a symbol of reclaiming my power and standing up for myself. One day, as I sat in my newly established office, poring over paperwork and plans for my business, my attorney, Emily, entered with a smile. "Emma, I have some good news," she said, her eyes sparkling with delight. Curiosity piqued, I looked up. "What is it?" "The court has approved the payment from Ryan," Emily explained. "He has been ordered to transfer the compensation amount to your account within the next week." A surge of relief washed over me, and I couldn't help but smile. That's a weight off my shoulders. "Thank you, Emily, for all your hard work in handling this case." She nodded warmly. "It was my pleasure, Emma. You deserve justice, and I'm glad we were able to achieve it." The week passed, and as promised, the money was transferred to my account. It was a moment of triumph, knowing that I had fought for what was rightfully mine and won. But this victory was not just about the money. It was about reclaiming my life, finding my strength, and standing tall after weathering a storm of heartache and betrayal. With the settlement secured, I made a conscious decision to let go of the pain and resentment. I didn't want to carry the burden of past hurt with me into my future. I chose to focus on gratitude for the lessons learned and the opportunity to rebuild my life. One evening, as I sipped a cup of tea in the comfort of my own home, there was a knock on the door. Curious, I opened it to find a package addressed to me. I unwrapped it to find a letter inside. As I read the heartfelt words, tears welled up in my eyes. It was a sincere apology from Ryan, acknowledging the pain he had caused and expressing his desire to change. I knew that his words came from a place of regret, but I also understood that true change required action, not just words. For my own sake, I needed to let go and move forward without him. Taking a deep breath, I picked up my phone and dialed his number. When he answered, his voice trembled with emotion. "Emma, I'm so sorry for everything," he said earnestly. "I've been seeking help, and I'm trying to get my life back on track." I listened quietly, feeling a mix of compassion and resolution. "Ryan, I truly hope you find the help you need and make positive changes in your life. But for my own well-being, I need to focus on my own path now." He seemed to understand, his voice filled with sadness. "I understand, Emma. I wish things could have been different." "So do I replied softly. "Take care, Ryan." Ending the call, I felt a sense of closure. I knew that forgiving him was not about condoning his actions, but about releasing myself from the grip of bitterness and anger. In the following months, I focused on building my business and cultivating a life that aligned with my values and aspirations. I surrounded myself with love and support, cherishing the genuine connections that enriched my life. As time went on, I found peace within myself, knowing that I had overcome immense challenges and emerged stronger than ever. The journey was not easy, but it led me to a place of self-discovery and empowerment. As I gazed out of my office window, I felt a renewed sense of hope. The future was unwritten, and I was the author of my own story. With courage in my heart and dreams in my eyes, I knew that the best was yet to come. And so, my life continued, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of choosing to thrive despite adversity.
The day Adam and I met, the sun was shining brightly, casting a warm glow over the city. I was seated at a corner table in a cozy coffee shop, engrossed in a book, when a tall, charming man with a warm smile approached me. "Is this seat taken?" he asked, motioning to the empty chair across from me. I looked up, meeting his gaze, and couldn't help but smile back. "No. It's all yours," I replied, feeling a flutter of excitement in my chest. He introduced himself as Danielle, and we struck up a conversation that felt like reconnecting with an old friend. Our laughter echoed through the coffee shop as we discovered shared interests and aspirations. Time flew by, and before we knew it, the sun was setting. As we reluctantly said our goodbyes, Danielle hesitated for a moment before mustering the courage to ask, "Would you like to go out with me sometime?" The question caught me off guard, but the spark between us was undeniable. "I'd love to," I said, my heart racing with anticipation. Our first date was magical, filled with endless conversations, stolen glances, and the feeling that fate had brought us together. From that moment on, we became inseparable. Our love blossomed, and I fell head over heels for this wonderful man named Danielle, who had filled my life with joy and purpose. As our relationship deepened, Danielle's love for me became evident in the little things he did. He'd surprise me with flowers, cook my favorite meals, and leave sweet notes for me to find throughout the day. I knew I had found the person I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. When the time was right, Danielle proposed in the most romantic way possible. Under a starry night sky, with a heartwarming speech that made my eyes well up with tears of happiness. "I can't imagine my life without you, Sophia," he said, holding my hands tightly. "Will you marry me?" Without any hesitation, I whispered, "Yes, Danielle." "Yes," with all my heart. Our wedding day arrived, and it was a day I cherish forever. Surrounded by the love of our friends and family, we exchanged vows, promising to stand by each other through thick and thin. My heart swelled with love as I glanced at Danielle, who looked dashing in his suit, and I felt a rush of gratitude for the life we were about to embark on together. After the ceremony, Danielle's parents, Richard and Karen, approached me with wide smiles. "Welcome to the family. Sophia, Karen said, pulling me into a warm embrace. "Thank you," I replied, feeling overwhelmed by their love and acceptance. Richard patted Danielle on the back. "You found yourself a keeper, son. Take good care of her." Danielle nodded, his eyes never leaving mine. "I will, Dad, I promise." And so, our new beginning as husband and wife commenced. Little did I know that this journey would lead us through both joy and pain, testing the strength of our love in ways I couldn't have imagined. But on that day, all I knew was that I was marrying the man of my dreams, and nothing else mattered. The days leading up to our wedding were a whirlwind of excitement and anticipation. As the big day approached, I found myself feeling a mix of nervousness and elation. I was about to marry the man I loved, and the thought filled me with both joy and butterflies. Danielle and I had decided on a rustic outdoor wedding, surrounded by nature's beauty. We chose a picturesque garden venue with blooming flowers and tall trees, creating a magical atmosphere for our special day. As the guests arrived, the air buzzed with laughter and chatter, and the aroma of freshly cut flowers filled the air. I stood in front of a mirror, my heart pounding in my chest as I slipped into my wedding dress. It was a breathtaking gown, adorned with delicate lace and a flowing train that cascaded gracefully behind me. My mother and bridesmaids watched with teary eyes as they helped me put on the final touches. "Oh, Sophia, you look absolutely stunning," my mother said, her voice choked with emotion. I turned to face them, my heart brimming with happiness. "Thank you, Mom. Thank you all for being here with me on this day." With joyful anticipation, I walked down the aisle, my eyes locked on Danielle, who stood at the altar looking dashing in his tailored suit. His eyes welled up as he saw me approach, and I could see the love in his gaze. My heart felt like it could burst with love for this man who had become my everything. As we exchanged vows, the world around us seemed to fade away, and it felt like we were the only two people in the universe. The promises we made to each other were heartfelt and sincere, and I knew in that moment that we were embarking on a journey of a lifetime. The ceremony was followed by a joyous celebration, where laughter and happiness filled the air. We danced, ate delicious food, and shared heartfelt toasts with our loved ones. Danielle's parents, Richard and Karen, approached us, beaming with pride and love. "Congratulations, you two. It was a beautiful ceremony," Karen said, pulling me into a warm hug. "Thank you so much for being here to share this day with us," I replied, feeling overwhelmed with gratitude. As the evening turned to night, we lit up lanterns that floated gently into the sky, symbolizing our hopes and dreams taking flight together. Surrounded by the warmth of our loved ones, I felt a sense of contentment and peace, knowing that I had found my soulmate and that our love was bound to endure any challenge that life might throw our way. And so our perfect wedding day came to an end, but it was only the beginning of a beautiful journey as husband and wife. Little did I know that the true test of our love and resilience lay ahead, but in that moment, I was filled with hope and happiness, ready to face the world hand in hand with Danielle. After the enchanting wedding day, Danielle and I set out to build our life together in the beautiful house he had purchased. The excitement of starting this new chapter filled our hearts as we moved into our new home. As we unpacked boxes and arranged furniture, the house began to feel like a place where our love could truly blossom. One sunny afternoon, as we were organizing the kitchen, Danielle wrapped his arms around me from behind and placed a gentle kiss on my cheek. "I can't believe this is our home now," he said, his voice filled with happiness. I turned to face him, a wide smile spreading across my face. "Me neither. It's perfect, just like you," I replied, giving him a loving peck on the lips. As the days turned into weeks, we settled into a comfortable routine. With Danielle's successful career, he assured me that I didn't need to work and could focus on making our home a warm and inviting space. I relished the opportunity to do so, and together with Danielle's parents, Richard and Karen, We turned the house into a cozy sanctuary. "Thank you both for helping us make this house a home," I said one evening, as we all sat together in the living room, enjoying the warmth of a crackling fireplace. Richard smiled warmly at me. "It's our pleasure. Sophia, you're family now, and we're thrilled to have you here with us." Karine nodded in agreement. "Absolutely. We couldn't have asked for a better daughter-in-law." Tears welled up in my eyes as I felt overwhelmed by their kindness. "I'm so grateful to have you both in my life," I said, my voice slightly shaky with emotion. As time passed, our bond grew stronger, and I began to feel like the luckiest woman in the world. I cherished the moments we spent together as a family, whether it was sharing meals, going for walks in the nearby park, or simply sitting around the dining table, chatting and laughing. However, there were moments when I noticed a change in Danielle's behavior. He started coming home late from work, often looking tired and distant. I tried to give him space, assuming it was just work stress, but as the weeks went by, his mood swings became more frequent. One evening, as we were having dinner, I gently broached the subject. "Danielle, is everything all right? You seem a bit distant lately." He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "It's just work, Sophia. There's a lot of pressure and it's taking a toll on me." "Maybe you should consider talking to someone about it," I suggested, concerned for his well-being. "It's fine, really," he replied, avoiding eye contact. As the days turned into weeks, Danielle's behavior became increasingly erratic. He would snap at me over minor things, and his temper would flare up unexpectedly. I felt confused and hurt, wondering what had caused this sudden change in the man I loved. One evening, after yet another argument, I decided to confide in Richard and Garen about the situation. Sitting together in the living room, I shared my concerns, tears streaming down my cheeks. Karen reached out and took my hand in hers. "Oh, sweetheart, we've noticed it too. We thought it might pass, but it seems to be getting worse." Richard nodded, his expression grave. "We'll talk to him, Sophia. He needs to understand how his behavior is affecting you." I felt grateful for their support and comfort, knowing that they had my back. Little did I know that the storm brewing in our lives was about to reveal its full force, and the true test of our family strength was yet to come. As the days passed, the signs of trouble in our once blissful home became harder to ignore. Danielle's late nights at work continued, and he grew increasingly distant from me and his parents. The warmth and laughter that had once filled our home seemed to dissipate, leaving behind an uneasy atmosphere. One evening, as I prepared dinner in the kitchen, Danielle came home later than usual, his face etched with weariness. I greeted him with a smile, hoping to brighten his mood. "Hey, you're home. Dinner will be ready soon," I said, trying to sound cheerful. He barely acknowledged me, walking past with a mumbled, "Yeah, whatever," feeling hurt by his indifference. I decided to address the issue. "Danielle, we need to talk. Your behavior has been changing, and it's affecting our relationship." He turned to me, his eyes flashing with frustration. "Can't you see that work is stressful? I don't need you nagging me." "I'm not nagging. I'm just worried about you," I replied, my voice tinged with sadness. "We used to be so close, and now it feels like you're shutting me out." Danielle's face softened for a moment, but then he averted his gaze. "I just need some space. Sophia." "This is a tough time for me." Feeling helpless, I nodded and said, "All right, but remember that I'm here for you if you need to talk." As the weeks went by, Danielle's mood swings became more frequent and unpredictable. One day, he came home in a rage, slamming doors and yelling. I tried to approach him gently, but my efforts only seemed to fuel his anger. "Why can't you just leave me alone?" he shouted, his face contorted with anger. "You're suffocating me." Tears welled up in my eyes as I stepped back, hurt by his words. "I love you, Danielle. I just want to help." He shook his head, storming off to his room without another word. I stood there feeling lost and bewildered, not knowing how to reach the man I loved. I decided to confide in Richard and Karen once again, seeking their advice and support. Something is seriously wrong, and I don't know how to fix it, I admitted tearfully to them one evening. Richard placed a comforting hand on my shoulder. We've noticed it too. Sophia, it's not like him to behave this way. Karen nodded in agreement. We'll talk to him again, try to find out what's going on. I just want my husband back, I said, my voice breaking with emotion. The concern in their eyes mirrored my own, and together we vowed to find a way to help Daniel through whatever challenges he was facing. But little did we know that our efforts would soon lead us down a path filled with unexpected twists and revelations, putting our family's unity to the test in ways we couldn't have imagined. As the days turned into weeks, Daniel's behavior continued to spiral out of control, and my concern for him grew with each passing day. He seemed distant, agitated, and often came home late, giving me little to no explanation for his actions. Our once loving and open communication had been replaced by walls of silence and anger. One evening, after another tense argument, I found myself sitting alone in our bedroom, tears streaming down my cheeks. I felt a deep sense of sadness and desperation, not knowing how to reach the man I loved. It was as if he had become a stranger, and I was losing the connection we once had. Feeling lost and unsure of what else to do, I turned to Richard and Karen for guidance. They had been a source of strength throughout our marriage, and I hoped they could shed some light on Daniel's behavior. He won't talk to me, and I don't know how to help him, I confessed to them, my voice trembling with emotion. Karen put her arm around my shoulders, offering comfort. We've tried talking to him as well, but he's shutting us out too. Richard nodded in agreement. I don't know what's going on with him, but we can't force him to open up. He has to be willing to talk. But what if he doesn't? I asked, fear gnawing at my heart. We'll keep trying, Sophia. We won't give up on him, Karen reassured me with a determined look in her eyes. As the days went by, I felt increasingly isolated and alone. I yearned for the man I fell in love with, the one who made me laugh and feel cherished. But all that seemed like a distant memory now, I longed to understand what had changed, what had caused this painful rift between us. One evening, I mustered up the courage to approach Daniel once again. As he came home, I greeted him with a hesitant smile. Daniel, can we talk? He glanced at me briefly before turning away. I'm not in the mood for talking, Sophia. Tears welled up in my eyes as I said, please, just tell me what's wrong. We can work through this together. He sighed impatiently. There's nothing to talk about. I have a lot on my mind, okay? I love you, Danielle, and I want to help. I pleaded, my heart breaking with each rejection. His face hardened and he snapped, You don't understand anything. Just leave me alone. Feeling defeated, I retreated to our bedroom where I cried silently, praying for a way to bridge the widening gap between us. That night, as I lay awake, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was seriously wrong with Danielle. I realized that I couldn't continue like this, living in a home where love and understanding had been replaced by tension and anger. Something had to change, and I knew that I couldn't do it alone. The next morning, I mustered up the courage to make a difficult decision. I needed to share my concerns with Richard and Karen, hoping that together we could find a way to help Danielle before it was too late. Our family's happiness depended on it, and I was willing to fight for us, even if it meant facing uncomfortable truths and making tough choices. The tension in our home continued to escalate, and the feeling of unease weighed heavily on all of us. Richard, Karen, and I had tried to talk to Danielle about his behavior, but he remained closed off and defensive. I knew that something was seriously wrong, and I couldn't stand by idly while our family fell apart. One day, I came home from running errands to find Danielle gone, leaving behind an empty house filled with a deafening silence. The worry in my heart intensified, and I couldn't shake the feeling that he was slipping further away from us. Unable to bear the loneliness of the house, I decided to visit Richard and Karen for support. As I approached their doorstep, I noticed a glimmer of hope in their eyes. They had been grappling with the same concerns, and we were all desperate to find a solution. "I don't know what to do anymore," I said, tears streaming down my face. "I feel like he's slipping away, and I can't reach him." Richard hugged me tightly, his voice filled with concern. "We won't give up, Sophia. We'll find a way to help him." Karen nodded in agreement. "We need to stay strong as a family. Danielle needs us now more than ever." As we discussed possible approaches to help Danielle, I recalled an incident from a few weeks ago. I had accidentally left behind a necklace, a sentimental gift from my grandmother, in our old bedroom when I moved out. It held immense sentimental value to me, and I couldn't bear to lose it. With determination, I decided to retrieve the necklace from our old house, hoping it might serve as a reason to have a conversation with Danielle. Maybe, just maybe, it would be the key to unlocking the mystery behind his troubled behavior. As I arrived at the old house, memories flooded my mind, and my heart ached for the love and happiness we once shared here. Taking a deep breath, I knocked on the door, but there was no response. With a heavy heart, I used the spare key I had kept for emergencies and carefully opened the door. The sight that greeted me inside was haunting. The house was in disarray, and a strange, unpleasant odor lingered in the air. My heart sank as I stepped further inside, calling out Danielle's name, but there was no reply. Finally, I reached our old bedroom, and my breath caught in my throat. There, lying on the floor, was Danielle, unconscious. Panic surged through me as I rushed to his side, checking his pulse to make sure he was still alive. "Danny, wake up. Please wake up," I pleaded, tears streaming down my face. To my horror, I noticed bags with unclear contents scattered around him. My mind raced with fear and suspicion, and I knew I had to act quickly to get him help. As I dialed emergency services, I heard a weak groan from Danielle, and my heart filled with relief. A few agonizing minutes later, the paramedics arrived and rushed Danielle to the hospital. I couldn't bear the thought of losing him, and as I sat in the waiting room with Richard and Karen, I felt a mix of fear, anger, and determination. I needed to know what had led him to this point, and I was willing to do whatever it took to get him the help he needed. As the doctors tended to him, we were approached by a police officer who asked us some questions about Danielle's behavior and recent activities. The mention of the mysterious bags in the room sent shivers down my spine, and I knew that there was something much darker and dangerous at play. With a heavy heart, I made a decision that would change everything. It was time to confront the painful truth and seek justice, not just for our family, but for the man I once knew and loved. The revelation of the mysterious bags and the disturbing odor in our old house left me shaken to the core. Danielle's unconscious state was a wake-up call, and I knew that I couldn't ignore the truth any longer. It was time to seek justice and get him the help he desperately needed. As I sat in the hospital waiting room with Richard and Karen, my mind raced with questions and uncertainty. I had reported the situation to the police, but I feared what they might find in our old house. The thought of Danielle involved in something dangerous and illegal was almost too much to bear. Finally, the hospital staff updated us on Danielle's condition. He was stable, but they informed us that he had ingested dangerous substances and that he would need intensive medical care. A wave of guilt washed over me as I thought about how long he had been struggling without anyone noticing. A police officer approached us, offering some information they had discovered in our old house. "We found drugs in the bags you mentioned," he said gravely. "It appears your husband was involved in illegal activities." My heart sank at the confirmation of my worst fears. "What happens now?" I asked, my voice shaking. We'll be conducting a thorough investigation, the officer replied. Your cooperation will be crucial in helping us understand the full extent of the situation. I nodded, feeling a mix of emotions: anger, sadness, and a determination to ensure that justice was served. I want to help in any way I can, I said firmly. Karen squeezed my hand, her eyes filled with concern. We're here for you, Sophia. We'll face this together. Richard added, we won't let Danielle go through this alone. We'll support him through whatever comes next. In the following days, the police conducted their investigation, and the truth about Danielle's involvement in drug possession became apparent. The weight of it all was overwhelming, but I knew that I had to stay strong for him. We couldn't let this tear our family apart. As the trial approached, I struggled with conflicting emotions. I loved Danielle deeply, but I couldn't ignore the hurt he had caused with his reckless choices. I knew that he needed help, but I also knew that consequences were necessary for his actions. When the trial began, I sat in the courtroom, my heart pounding in my chest. Seeing Danielle in handcuffs was a painful sight, but it was a reality that we had to face. The evidence against him was undeniable, and the truth was finally laid bare. During the trial, I was called as a witness to testify about his behavior and the changes I had noticed. It was one of the hardest things I had ever done, but I knew that it was essential to help him face the consequences of his actions and get the help he needed. The verdict came, and Danielle was sentenced to a year in prison for drug possession. As painful as it was to see him behind bars, I knew that this was a wake-up call for him, a chance to confront his demons and seek a path to recovery. In the following months, our lives changed drastically. With Danielle in prison, Richard, Karen, and I formed an even tighter bond as we supported each other through the emotional turmoil. We attended counseling sessions together, seeking healing and understanding as a family. As difficult as the journey had been, I found a newfound strength within myself. I had faced the darkest moments of our marriage head on, and I had stood up for justice, not just for myself, but for the man I had once loved, the man who needed help.